You won't believe which remote workers are averaging $93,000 to $150,000 a year from their kitchen tables. While everyone fights for software engineering jobs at $120,000, there's a different category where experienced executives average higher. And the top 10%, they are making over $200,000 a year. It's not coding, it's not product management, it's not data science. And most people have never even considered it. If you've ever believed the highest paying remote work requires a tech background, this video will change how you think about high income careers. Because here's what the data actually shows. The highest paying remote work category requires no coding, no tech degree, and no startup experience. But it does require something that most people don't have yet. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what this work category is, who it's actually for, the honest requirements to even be considered, and whether this path makes sense for where you are right now. But more importantly, you will understand why the top 10% earn over $200,000 a year, while most people have never heard of this category. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, I need to be honest with you. I've watched too many people chase high-paying remote work by getting more certifications, learning programming languages, and adding more skills to their resume. And they stay stuck at $75,000 to $100,000 a year. And what makes me angry is the narrative. Everyone says learn the code or get into tech for high remote income, but the data shows something completely different at the highest levels. So when I analyzed salary data across remote work categories, when I saw what the top earners were actually doing, when I realized most people are competing in the wrong space entirely, I had to break this down. Not because I'm selling a course on this, I'm not, but because someone needs to show you what high-level remote compensation actually looks like and who it's really for. Full transparency, I run a paid Patreon community called The Heights, and I'll mention it later. I earn income from it. I want you to know that up front. I'm Antoine Wade, and I've spent years in corporate America analyzing compensation structures and career paths across industries. Here's what the data actually shows about the highest paying remote work category. Now, before you click away thinking that's not for me, you're probably right. This path requires 10 to 15 years of proven senior leadership experience. But let me show you what the actual numbers look like. Before we continue, critical disclaimer. The income figures I'm about to share include both average earnings and exceptional outliers. According to ZipRecruiter, October 2025 data, fractional executives average $93,000 a year. Most earn $58,000 to $148,000 a year. The higher figures I will mention, $200,000 to $300,000, represent exceptional outcomes for the top 10 to 20% of performers. These individuals typically have 20 plus years of executive experience, worked at well-known companies, extensive professional networks, and proven track records driving millions in business results. These are not typical results most people achieve. Your earnings will vary dramatically based on your experience, network, skills, and market conditions. There is no guarantee of any specific income level. Now let me show you what the data actually reveals. According to ZipRecruiter salary data from October 2025, the national average for fractional executives is $93,000 a year. Typical range, $58,000 to $148,000. Top 10% of earners over $150,000 a year. Now, according to specialized consulting salary surveys, different executive roles show different ranges. Fractional chief marketing officers, $4,000 to $20,000 monthly retainers. That's $48,000 to $240,000 a year. The higher end of that range, $15,000 to $20,000 monthly, represents top performers with 15 plus years of executive experience, extensive networks, and proven track records. This is not typical for most fractional CMOs. Fractional chief revenue officers, $10,000 to $25,000 monthly retainers. That's $120,000 to $300,000 a year. These represent senior executives with deep sales and revenue expertise, typically 15 to 20 years of experience leading revenue teams at multiple companies. The average fractional executive earns $93,000, not $300,000. Hourly rates, $150 to $500 per hour, depending on specialization and experience. So when you hear fractional executives, understand that there's a wide range. Average $93,000, typical range $58,000 to $148,000. Exceptional top performers $200,000 to $300,000. Let me be extremely clear about who fractional executive work is for, because honesty matters more than hype. You need 10 to 15 years of business experience minimum. You need a proven track record in senior leadership roles, director level, VP level, or C-suite. You need documented business results you can quantify with numbers. You need industry connections and professional network already built. You need experience solving high-level business problems, not just executing tasks. This is not for entry-level professionals. This is not for mid-level managers without senior leadership experience. This is not for people without quantifiable business results. This is not for anyone without existing industry credibility. Here's the truth nobody wants to say clearly. Most people watching this video don't qualify for fractional executive work yet. Not because you're not smart, not because you're not capable, but because companies hiring 10,000 to 15,000 monthly consultants need proven senior leaders who've already delivered results at scale. If you don't check those boxes, this video will still educate you about how high-level remote work operates. But this specific path isn't accessible yet. If you do have that experience, pay very close attention to what comes next. Let me explain what fractional executive work actually means. Fractional executive work means serving as a part-time C-suite leader for companies that need executive expertise, but those companies can't afford or don't need a full-time executive. Common fractional roles: fractional chief revenue officer, they focus on sales and revenue growth. Fractional chief marketing officer, they handle marketing strategy and execution. Fractional chief operating officer, they optimize business operations. Fractional chief financial officer, they manage financial strategy. Why companies hire fractional executives? Startups need executive guidance but can't afford $250,000 plus full-time salaries. Growing companies need specialized expertise for 6 to 12 months during transitions, and businesses preparing for acquisition need strategic leadership temporarily. What fractional executives actually do: strategic planning and execution, building and optimizing teams, implementing systems and processes, advising boards and founders, and driving specific business outcomes like revenue growth, operational efficiency, and market expansion. Let me give you a concrete example. A software company growing from 5 million to 15 million in revenue needs a chief revenue officer, but they cannot afford a $300,000 full-time salary plus equity, so they hire a fractional CRO for $12,000 to $15,000 per month. That fractional executive works 15 hours per week, builds the sales team structure, implements a CRM system, creates the revenue forecasting model, trains the sales team, establishes the pricing strategy. After 12 months, the company has grown revenue, built the foundation, and can now hire a full-time CRO or promote internally. The fractional executive moves to the next client. The business model. Most fractional executives work with 1 to 3 clients simultaneously. Each client engagement lasts 6 to 18 months typically. Work is usually 10 to 20 hours per week per client. In an exceptional scenario, if you secure 2 clients each, paying $12,000 per month with no gap time between contracts, that will equal $288,000 a year. However, according to ZipRecruiter data, the average fractional executive earns $93,000 a year. The scenario I just described represents top 10% performance with established networks and 15 plus years of experience, which is not typical results. Which brings me to the honest challenges. Let me show you the challenges nobody talks about with fractional work. Challenge number 1, finding clients. Most fractional work comes from existing professional networks. Former colleagues and employers become clients, referrals from other consultants and executives, introductions from venture capital firms. Cold outreach rarely works for executive level consulting. Your reputation and track record are your marketing. Challenge number 2, time to first client. Most people transitioning to fractional work take 3 to 12 months to land their first client. This requires existing savings or income during transition. Challenge number 3, income variability. Some months you might earn $15,000, other months $5,000. Client contracts end and there's gap time before the next one. Most successful fractional executives recommend 6 to 12 months of savings before transitioning. Challenge number 4, you are running a business. You are not just doing executive work, you're doing business development, sales calls, proposals, contracts, invoicing, accounting, and marketing. You're wearing all the hats. Challenge number 5, no benefits, no healthcare provided, no 401k match, no paid vacations, no sick days. You are paying for everything yourself. This is why fractional work pays more per hour than traditional employment. You're taking on all the business risk. Quick question, do you have 10 plus years of senior leadership experience? Drop yes or not yet in the comments. I want to see who this actually applies to. Now let me show you the transition path. If you meet the qualifications, here's the realistic transition path. Audit your experience for high valued expertise and document your biggest professional wins with specific numbers. Identify your ideal client profile, the industry that they work in, the stage, and their needs, and research market rates for your specialization. Build 6 to 12 months of savings for income variability and reduce fixed expenses if possible, and determine your minimum acceptable monthly income. Plan for healthcare, taxes, and business expenses. This is the most critical phase. Reach out to former colleagues and employers and let your network know that you are doing fractional work. Ask for introductions to founders and executives and join industry groups and associations. Most of your first clients will come from people who already know your work. Create case studies of your business results. Build a professional website or a LinkedIn presence and write content demonstrating your expertise, and speak at industry events, virtual or in person. Target companies in growth phases or transitions and focus on warm introductions, not cold outreach, and conduct discovery calls to understand needs and propose specific results-focused engagements. Start with one client while maintaining full-time work if possible. Deliver exceptional results that lead to referrals and document your process and outcomes, and build credibility through successful projects. Add a second client once the first is stable, and optimize your systems and processes and develop repeatable frameworks. Build your personal brand that attracts inbound opportunities. Most people take 12 to 18 months to transition fully to fractional work with consistent income. This is not a quick pivot. Let me show you what a realistic transition path looks like based on industry consultant reports and salary data. A typical fractional consultant with 15 to 20 years of operations experience might follow this timeline. Months 1 through 6, building a network and positioning themselves while they are still employed, and reaching out to former colleagues and creating case studies of past business results. Months 6 through 9, landing the first client engagement. Typical starting rate, $6,000 to $10,000 per month for 15 hours per week, still maintaining full-time employment during their overlap. Months 12 to 18, adding a second client at similar monthly rates and beginning to transition away from full-time employment. And total monthly income by this time, $12,000 to $20,000 from fractional work. By this time, year 2 is established and you are working with 2 stable clients consistently. Total annual income, $100,000 to $150,000, closer to the national average for established fractional executives. This represents a realistic timeline based on industry data aggregated from consulting reports and salary surveys. This is not a guaranteed outcome. Success depends on your specific experience, network strength, and market conditions. The path exists, the data is real, but it requires 10 plus years of proven leadership experience, documented business results, and significant financial runway during the transition. Most people take 12 to 18 months to build consistent fractional income and 30 to 40% return to traditional employment within 2 years. This is a legitimate career path for qualified senior leaders, not a shortcut or a quick win. By the way, if this is opening your eyes to how high-level remote work actually operates, hit the subscribe button. I research career paths and compensation data every week so you understand what's actually possible. Now let me compare the trade-offs. Let me show you the actual trade-offs between traditional executive work and fractional consulting. Traditional full-time executive, the pros: stable salary and benefits, predictable income every single month, healthcare and 401k provided, clear authority and resources, single focus on one company. The cons: office politics and bureaucracy, limited geographic flexibility, income ceiling based on company budget, high risk if laid off, long hours and stress. Typical compensation, $150,000 to $300,000 for a VP or C-suite depending on company size and industry. Fractional executive consulting, the pros: potential for higher total income through multiple clients, geographic flexibility, fully remote at times, choose clients and projects, Diversified income reduces single company risk and control over your schedule. And the cons, income variability month to month, no benefits, healthcare, or 401k, constant business development is required, and multiple competing priorities at times, and responsibility for your own taxes and business expenses. And sometimes client contracts end unexpectedly. Typical compensation, $93,000 average, $58,000 to $148,000 typical range. Top 10 to 20% with extensive networks and 20 plus years of experience, over $200,000 plus. The honest assessment, fractional work offers more authority and potential upside, but significantly more risk and variability. Traditional employment offers stability and benefits, but less flexibility and potentially lower ceiling for top performers. Neither path is objectively better. It depends on your risk tolerance, financial situation, and career priorities. Now let me share what realistic outcomes look like based on industry data. Year 1, transition year. Most people earn from $40,000 to $80,000 during their transition year while building a client base. Some maintain part-time employment during the transition and expect 6 to 12 months before consistent income. An investment in marketing, a website, and business setup is needed. Year 2 to 3 as an establishment. Average income, $75,000 to $120,000 a year with 1 to 2 consistent clients. You are still building a reputation and a referral network, and you are learning to price and package your services effectively, and you are developing systems for efficiency. Year 4 plus, once you are established. Average income, $93,000 to $150,000 with 2 to 3 consistent clients. You have a strong referral network generating inbound opportunities. You have a proven track record enabling higher rates, and you have optimized processes and systems. Let's talk about the top performers who are exceptional. The top 10 to 20% of fractional executives exceed over $200,000 a year. These individuals typically have 20 plus years of experience, worked at a recognizable company, extensive networks built over decades, and specialized expertise in high valued areas. Here's an important reality. 30 to 40% of people who attempt fractional consulting return to traditional employment within 2 years due to income inconsistency, difficulty finding clients, and underestimating business development time, and missing stability and benefits. This is not a guaranteed path. It requires significant experience, business development skills, financial runway, and market timing. As I mentioned at the start, I run a paid Patreon community called The Heights. The community includes frameworks for positioning yourself as a consultant, pricing strategies, and networking approaches for high-level career transitions. Important disclaimer, joining The Heights or any community does not guarantee you will successfully transition to fractional work or achieve any specific income level. Success depends entirely on your experience, your network, your skills, market conditions, and many factors outside anyone's control. This video promotes my paid Patreon membership, and I want to be fully transparent about that. If you're interested in it, $5.99 per month, link in the description of this video. Here's what I want you to understand. The highest paying remote work category isn't what most people think it is. It's not about having the most technical skills. It's not about the fanciest degree. It's not about working at a FANG company. It's about positioning yourself strategically based on experience that you've already built. If you have 10 to 15 years of senior leadership experience, documented business results, and professional networks, and fractional executive work could be your path to $93,000 to $150,000 average. And if you are in the top 10 to 20% with 20 plus years of experience and extensive networks, potentially over $200,000 a year, fully remote. If you don't have that experience yet, this video showed you what high-level remote work looks like so you can plan your career strategically. Imagine 18 months from now, you've transitioned to fractional work, you have 2 consistent clients, you're earning $100,000 to $150,000 annually, fully remote, choosing your clients, controlling your schedule. This represents realistic outcomes for established fractional consultants, not guaranteed results. But the path exists for qualified senior leaders. That future is possible, but only if you understand the path and start building it strategically. The highest paying remote work doesn't require the newest skills. It requires strategic positioning of the experience that you already have. Here's what I need you to do. In the comments, tell me first, how many years of senior leadership experience do you have? Second, does fractional executive work interest you, or does traditional employment fit you better. Check out the Heights on Patreon if you want additional resources. But remember, no community or program guarantees your success. That depends entirely on you. Look, I can't make you qualify for fractional work if you don't have the expertise yet. I can't build your professional network for you. I can't guarantee clients will hire you, but I can show you what the data says about high-paying remote work. I can explain how it actually operates. I can give you realistic expectations and timelines. The data summary. Average fractional executive salary, $93,000 according to ZipRecruiter in 2025. Typical range, $58,000 to $148,000. Top 10 to 20% with 20 plus years of experience, over $200,000 a year. Monthly retainers for established consultants, $5,000 to $15,000 per client. Timeline to consistent income, 12 to 18 months typically. Requirements, 10 to 15 plus years of senior leadership experience. Who this works for? Experienced VPs and C-suite leaders looking for flexibility. Executives who've been laid off and want autonomy. Senior leaders preparing for retirement transition, and people with strong networks and proven track records. Who this doesn't work for? Entry-level and mid-level professionals. People without senior leadership experience. Anyone without documented business results. Audit your experience and document your results. Build 6 to 12 months of financial runway. Activate your professional network and start positioning yourself through content and speaking, and take your first small fractional project while employed. This isn't a get-rich-quick path. It's a legitimate career transition for qualified senior leaders that offers flexibility and potential upside, but also risk and variability. The data is real, the opportunity exists, but success depends on your specific experience, network, skills, and circumstances. This is Antoine Wade. Know your worth, understand the data, and make informed career decisions. Keep climbing, and we will see you in the next video.